Self 4, relationships 2, concerns 4, rewards 2. So fire and air, earth houses. So here's some fire where there wasn't in the signs. There is a enthusiasm. I want to do things. I want to make things happen. And there is a concern over resources and material concerns. Well, that was there with the moon in the second house anyways, but just the concern level, there was a practical concern. And in the houses, in the worldly ways, communication and emotions are not weaker. So in the signs, by attitudes, communication is thinking is really high, but in circumstances, not that strong, not that accentuated. More the self or the identity. And in both cases, the emotions, the water houses, water signs are both weak, both the lowest. Okay, so this is, okay. Yeah, that's all we want to do. We can come back around to it, but we're just starting and we're looking at this. Now we've got to go through the planets and the house clusters to see the more detailed manner. But we already have the sense of the below the horizon person. His power is important. It comes from the way he lives, not from where he fits in the world around him. So he might feel he doesn't fit in the world around him, but he has these qualities and gifts that are his. Okay, and yeah, so that's the below the horizon. The darkness is greater. Is the need? There's the need to feel part of things, but in my way. A bit of a paradox here, but it's these little things are very insightful. But it's like a story you can hear 10, 20 times, and each time you understand it a little bit better. And you look back 5 years later, you understand the way you never would have comprehended it when you first heard it. That's like the charts are like that. So we'll start with the moon. His moon in Libra. The moon in Libra in the second house. Trines the sun, has trines that not, but it squares Jupiter. That's the only problem with the moon. So the moon is your family, your memories, your feelings. But the moon in Libra intellectualizes one's feelings. It's thinking about how one's feeling. As soon as one gets hugs, one's thinking about it. As soon as one gets close to someone, one's thinking about what it means and where to go. There's a tendency to think and to intellectualize what's happening or what's closer, to explain one's feelings. And because it's squared by Jupiter, there's a tendency to either explain, to do this too much, to think too much, explain things too much. But it could come because the Jupiter's up in the 11th house. It could come from other people. How a struggle between family and friends, between he could have all kinds of expansive or open-minded friends, but there's a struggle between the attitudes of the friends and the family and the mom. And it's habits. Just there's a tendency to magnify memories and that's the Jupiter to the moon and exaggerate them. So that can cause an over-understanding, a fanatical understanding, or a misunderstanding around what family is, what's it for, where am I coming from, what am I doing, where am I going. So with the past, his moon, there's always going to be a puzzle. He's trying to understand, why is this? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Where did this go? Why did I leave home? Why did I stay home? Why did this relationship happen? Why did it end? Why are the memories there the way they were? So the memories and his past and his home will always create challenges of understanding what's right, what's wrong. So his mom might be very judgmental of his friends, or his family might be judgmental of his friends, or vice versa. But he's trying to, this happened, what happened? He's trying to understand the past and the traditions that he grew up out of. That's that moon in Libra. But the moon in Libra wants to share these ideas, wants to share these feelings, but it gets, the Libra tends to go into, the Libra moon tends to go into talking. So if someone's listening to him and he has a chance to talk, he'll talk more and more and more. But when he starts to have strong feelings, he might start talking more than feeling, and then talk more and more, as he do, explain more and more, and that can interfere with how much one feels. Okay, so the This is all in the rising sign. The moon's rising. He's going to project his feelings, project what he feels, project his understanding of his family, of his feelings, of his memories. He's going to project these. And by projecting it, he'll attract certain people. And you expect with the Jupiter up in 11, he's going to project a vast people, like some understanding, some opportunities there, but there seems to be a challenge between who's reliable, who's not, who's the right friends and who's the wrong friends, and who's going to decide. Do you let family decide? You decide for yourself? It's part of the puzzle. Okay, I will get to this, but it's just this one square. The moon, Jupiter tends to exaggerate the impulses, the habits, the feelings, the moods, the eating habits. There's a tendency to overindulge or overdrink or overdo things on a personal level, and then over-explain or over-rationalize. Okay. Okay, I'll just leave that there. It's just, you're not trying to define it. We're just tuning in, and it's okay for things to sit there like a puzzle, and we'll see how this comes. As we get more pieces of information, it starts to click in more and more. Oh, that's this. Okay, so then, yeah, so that's his memory is in Libra. The Mercury, his thinking, is in Pisces, in the 6th house. So this is the critical thinker, the analytical thinker, but it's in the Pisces, it's kind, it's perceptive, it's insightful, it's kind of mystical. It thinks many which ways. Mercury rules the analytical Virgo. So as the Virgo rising, so he's thinking, he identifies as being very specific, but there's a vastness, like this Mercury is in Pisces is also ruled by the Jupiter. So his mind is strongly affected by what his principles and his values are, and about what's right or wrong. So it's a really perceptive Mercury, but there's only one. It's conjunct the Sun. That's a strong thing, makes the Mercury stronger, but it's opposed by Saturn. So there's a caution, there's a reserve, there's an inhibition around one's thoughts. It's almost like he grew up without his dad talking to him very much. Father to the Mercury. And it's easy to get bored if you have to study something, you have to learn something. It's easy to get bored. Saturn to Mercury. But the Mercury is adventurous in Pisces. It's imaginative, but there's a tendency for it to be, oh, I better not do this one. The Saturn opposes the Mercury to try and make you not express your adventurousness, or like. So the moon tends to be intellectual. Mercury can think any which way in Pisces. What kind of work am I do? What I'm going to do this? Can I do this? And it implies using your mind for work, for just getting skills that you write or express. So for being an astrologer, it's not bad. It's pretty good because you have the perceptive need to help others using your mind. And there's a structure, there's a discipline and a serious side to astrology. Okay, but it still can be hitting. You need to get the education and anything to get the proper education. There's a tendency to get tired of, or feel it's too tedious, or in expressing oneself perhaps to be too serious, or not expressive as much, to not express as much as you should. So this is the puzzle, because the moon wants to talk more and more, explain more and more, and Mercury wants to be insightful, wants to express things, and it wants to too, but there's some restraint on it. Well, I better not talk here. Oh, I better not talk here. So the moon has its judgment is based on, its expression is based on what's right or wrong, from understanding what's right or wrong. But the Mercury is setting. It's just below the right. It takes impressions in. He's not going to want anything to say something that's going to get flack, or he's not going to want to be put down. He's not going to want other people to react wrongly. He's very sensitive to how people respond to his ideas. In fact, he could be very judgmental, even fanatical. This is my belief. This is what's right. This is what I would be really insensitive or overly sensitive to people not thinking the same way he does. And that could bring a distance. Someone who's not thinking the same way as I am, they're not being nice to me, they're not listening. Why would I talk? There's this tendency to back away. But it's a caution, it's a strategy. But it still is a multiple choice strategy. There's, if anything, with the Mercury in Pisces, there's a tendency to have too many options, or think too many ways, or see too many options. And how do you sort out which ones are the right ones? There's a Jupiter puzzle on that Mercury. The moon is to express your feelings, express the past, but there's so many things he can overdo that. So far with the moon and Mercury, the memory and the thinking, there's a tendency to exaggerate or to over embellish, but not always express it. So one part could be overly cautious, not express it, but it doesn't mean he's not thinking and imagining things. Okay, he would certainly be sensitive to who was listening and liked what he had to say, and if someone didn't like what he had to say. And he'd be receptive, but the sixth, that's a good place for Mercury to be able to think about how to help people be useful. That's the house of using the mind to heal. Astrology really is that, a Raja Yoga of healing the mind. And there's some work involved with it, some conservativeness that he has to grow out of or deal with. So it might make him that adds a sort of conservative. Now the Mercury conjunct the Sun adds a power to it. It brings the Aquarian knowledgeable influence into this imaginative Mercury. So I don't want to deal with the Sun just yet, except that the Sun's going to empower the thoughts of the Mercury here. I have to do this, needs to be fixed. I need to do this, I need to improve this, I need to fix that. The Sun's going to add power to the thoughts. Even though there's some restraint against them or some discipline against them, it's not meaning he's going to accept it. He's still going to work on that. So, I mean, at any time, if you know a person, you're going into it and you can take more time and go into these deeper, but that's happened when you meet someone, you're interacting and you realize, oh, this is this, oh, this is how this is working. And then you see it and you go into, right now, we're just setting up a preamble, a basic, we're touching these nerves enough so that when we start watching transits affecting them, we can see how it might, we get a better texture of how the response is going to be. His Venus, okay, so we see the communication, we see the need to understand that Jupiter has a prominent place in this. We see his moon in Libra ruled by Venus. His Venus is in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So here's the funny thing. The moon, Venus in Capricorn is practical. It's practical about what I want, but it's also inhibited around what I want. There's a reserve. It's a formula. I can't always get what I want. I might have to do this. It's a little bit over-controlled or inhibited around emotions. So there's a tendency to not feel, to be defensive around emotions more than projective around emotions, strategic and defensive. And the moon and the Venus here is one bad aspect, square to Pluto. That's a harsh aspect. So Pluto square Venus, when you were born, your parents it was a challenge to your parents to deal with you, and they didn't necessarily know how to do it, and you weren't the most wanted kid. There was a confrontation, and parents were busy with whatever they're doing, but you wouldn't have got all the appreciation or all, like Venus in the fourth house wants the appreciation. It really is important. A little bit of appreciation, I could do anything. But if I get bad appreciation, or if I'm not liked about doing anything, then how am I going to think? How am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to do? There's a lot of people have this kind of restraint. Venus and Capricorn, they might work at something like, a lot of people, very practical business people, just trying to do business or look practically, but sometimes in terms of hobby or emotional support, one, they want a job, they want to be able to take care of themselves. Two, sometimes it goes into music, where there's ability to listen to music and a need to express oneself and to get appreciation in other ways. So, but even this setting, this is the setting, the Mercury setting, the Venus setting, Sun and Mars, but the Venus setting is very deep. This is the point where he takes things in, whether he's liked or not, really affects his motivation.